Paratmanamekam Jagadbijamadyam Niriham Nirakaramokar Yato Jayate Palyate Yena Vishvam Tamisham Bhajeliyate Yatra Vishvam Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dear devotees, so in the last class we had seen verses 4, 5 and 6, if you all remember. Before we proceed, let us just go back and summarize those three extremely important verses. Sri Krishna started the 9th chapter saying that, "Hey Arjun, I am going to present to you the highest knowledge and the greatest secret, both conceptual as well as experience, knowing which you will be freed from all evils." The real evil of human life is only one, that is bondage, bandhanam. Somewhere we are all bound. This bondage is the biggest evil. So essentially, Vedanta's main concern is to show the human being the way to break away from this bondage. So Krishna said, knowing this, you will be freed from this evil of bondage. And he says that this is Rajavidya and Rajaguhyam, the highest knowledge and the most profound secret, which is directly experienceable. Pratyakshaavagamam, very important term. Do not think that this is something theory. This is not theoretical. It is directly perceivable. Pratyaksham. And then dharmyam. Anyone who walks on this path, this knowledge expresses itself in our transactional plane in the form of highest righteousness, dharmyam. And Krishna says, it is susukham kartum. It is very easy to practice. Most encouraging. Now see, somewhere we have been always told that this is difficult, this is difficult, this is difficult. When you are repeatedly told something is difficult, we really begin to take it for granted that it is difficult. Elsewhere also Shankaracharya makes this point very clear. This is easy to practice provided we fulfill certain conditions. Krishna also mentions this point here, that this is susukham kartum. It is easy to practice. Now, what was that highest reality that he presented to us in verses 4, 5 and 6? That is very important. Actually, from 4th verse to 10th verse, it is all one theme. The theme is the supreme reality, whom we are referring to as God. Different terms are being used in our day-to-day activities, in our transactions, in our language. We use different terms to refer to this highest reality. We say it is God, Bhagavan, Ishvara, and so on and on and on. But what is this reality? This reality is actually speaking, it is consciousness. Now, verses 4 to 6, it is presenting to us two things. Not actually two things, but apparently two things. Consciousness and world. Brahman and world. Atma and Anatma. And the best illustration to illustrate this phenomenon is the screen and the movie. We have seen this in the last class. Shankaracharya, in one of his commentaries, he says that this entire world which we are experiencing, it is just like a painting on a canvas. Painting on a canvas, a beautiful illustration. When you look into the painting on this canvas, what is actually existing? It is the canvas which is actually existing. The painting will go away. What actually existing is the canvas and canvas alone. Even when we are looking into the painting, we are actually looking at the canvas. Amazing. Now, during Shankaracharya's time, that was the only thing possible to use as an illustration. At that time, movie had not come. The Sanskrit term is Chitrita iva patam, patachitravat. Chalachitram had not come. During his time, if Chalachitram had come, he would have definitely used this world is just like a Chalachitram. It is just like a movie on a screen. When we watch a movie, what is that we are actually seeing? Somebody can say that we are seeing the movie, but the wise person will say that we are actually looking at the screen. Where is the movie there? Is the movie really existing? So in these three verses, verse 4, 5, and 6, actually speaking, it is the relationship between the screen and the movie. Relationship between Atma and Anatma. Relationship between Brahman and Jagat. Brahman is the screen, Jagat is the movie. Atman is the screen and Anatma is the movie. It appears as if there are two things, but actually speaking, there are no two things. There is only one thing here, Advaita. So, Krishna said in the 4th verse, here everything is pervaded by the consciousness. Everything is dwelling in consciousness. But consciousness is not dwelling in anything. Nothing is dwelling on consciousness. Look at my divine yoga. Once again, I'm repeating, it is all paradox. The language is all mutually contradictory, apparently mutually contradictory usage of language. There is no other way. Krishna is saying this movie is pervaded by the screen. Any doubt? The movie is dwelling on the screen. Any doubt? But the screen is not dwelling in the movie. Any doubt? Finally, he says, nothing is dwelling on the screen. There is no movie on the screen. Any doubt? What he wants to say is that screen alone is existing. The second entity, the so-called second entity called movie, is a mysterious entity. Though not actually existing, it is being experienced. That is what is Maya. Maya is that which is experienced when actually speaking it is not existing. Experience of something which is not existing. You can take, now you may think that this is all theory. No, this is not theory, this is happening with us every day. It's all play of consciousness. It is all play of the screen. The screen which is consciousness, it is all its play which is going on. Take your dream experiences. What would you talk about the dream experience? Is the dream world actually existing? You can't say it is actually existing. Then does it mean that it is not existing? You can neither say that it is not existing. For the time being, when the dream is going on, yes, it has got an apparent existence. You can't deny it. And just because it has got an apparent existence, can we say that it is actually existing? You cannot say it is actually existing because it goes away. The dream goes away. Even when the dream is going on, what is actually existing there? It is consciousness, which you are, which I am, which each one of us is. That is our true nature. That is the supreme reality which Sri Krishna was trying to convey to Arjuna. The greatest knowledge, the greatest secret, knowing which you will be freed from the evil of bondage. Advaita. So here, verses 4, 5, 6 deal with the connection between two things. Where actually speaking, there are no two things. When we talk about connection, it is always between two things. But here, the second thing with which we are talking, with which we are actually connecting consciousness, that second thing is mysterious. Without existing, it is appearing. So this is the relationship between consciousness and Jagat. Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina. Me, the consciousness, I pervade everything, Krishna says. Pervade everything without touching anything. There is no contact. That is the important thing. Contactlessness of consciousness. Consciousness is never in contact with the second thing because the second thing actually doesn't exist. Absolutely, this is the indubitable conclusion of the Upanishadic rishis. This consciousness, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagad avyakta murtina. I, the consciousness, I am pervading everything here. Matsthani sarva bhutani. And all this is dwelling on me, the consciousness. All this means the three states of human experience. The waking state, the dream state, and the sleep state. All the three states are dwelling on me, the consciousness. All the three states are dwelling on me. The consciousness means what? Shankaracharya says it means that these three states are deriving their reality from consciousness. That is the meaning of it. So beautiful. The movie is deriving its reality from the screen. Minus the screen, the movie has got no existence at all. Any doubt? Without the screen, the movie has got no existence at all. The movie is deriving its reality from the screen. Without the screen, the movie is zero. Sri Ramakrishna says, without one, the zeros are all zeros. They don't have any value. It is because of the existence of the one, every successive zero has got increasing value. Similarly, the so-called Jagrat Swapna Sushupti movie derives its value and reality from the screen called the Atman. That is the meaning of everything is dwelling on me, the consciousness. Everything is deriving its reality from consciousness, from God. And then Krishna says, but I am not dwelling in anything. All this is dwelling in me, but I don't dwell in anything. The screen is not dwelling anywhere else. Screen is dwelling on the screen, is it not? Is the screen dwelling on the movie? No. Consciousness doesn't dwell on anything else. There is no second thing on which it can dwell. It is self-dwelling. Every point is important. And then finally Krishna says, nothing is dwelling on me. Initially he had said, everything is dwelling on me. Now he is saying, nothing is dwelling on me. Now the conclusion of these three statements is what? I alone exist. Brahman alone exists. The so-called movie, what is this movie? It is the creation of Maya, a mysterious entity. Now that is the subject matter of the next 4 verses, which we shall study today. Beautiful. The same subject is continuing. It is the connection between the screen and the movie. In verses 4, 5, 6, we have come to the conclusion that the screen alone is existing. Now, what about this movie? Who creates this movie? That is the subject matter of verses 5 to 10, where Krishna says, it is the creation of Maya. Let us look into the subject. He says, verses 7 to 10, I'm sorry, from verses 7 to 10. Sarvabhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrajamyaham. Krishna is saying that, hey Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, he is addressing Arjun. Hey Arjun, son of Kunti, listen to me carefully. What is this movie? What is going on in the movie? What is the source of this movie? Which we are all the characters inside this movie. Each one of us, we are all the characters inside the movie. I, you, all the living beings, non-living entities, everything in its totality goes into the making of this movie. What is the source of this movie? Who is projecting this movie? Where is this movie getting dissolved every day? Krishna is saying, hey Arjun, listen to me. What is that? Sarvabhutani, this multitudes of living beings, kalpakshaye prakritim yanti, mamikam prakritim yanti, kalpakshaye. At the end of a cycle of a creation, hey Arjun, listen to me very carefully, I am talking to you about this movie. At the end of a cycle of creation, this entire movie goes back to its seed state, Prakriti, the Moola Prakriti, which is Maya. From Maya, it got projected in the beginning of the cycle of creation, and into Maya, it gets dissolved at the end of a cycle of creation. Kalpakshaya and Kalpadau. In the beginning of creation and at the end of a creation. At the end of this creation, this entire movie goes back to its seed state, which is Maya. Punastani kalpadau visrujamyaham. And again, I project forth this movie in the beginning of a new cycle of creation. Very important point. Here, 2 terms, kalpadau and kalpakshaya, 2 terms have been used. This we have already discussed in the 8th chapter. If you remember, in the 8th chapter, there was a description of unfathomable, vast expanses of time. We have seen yugas, kalpa, and the entire lifespan of Brahma, if you remember. There in the 8th chapter, Krishna had said, Avyaktad vyaktaya sarvaha prabhavatyharagame ratriagame praliyante tatraiva vyakta sangyake bhutagramasa evayam bhutva bhutva praliyate ratriagame avashappartha prabhavatyaharagame. This phenomenon of projection and dissolution, projection and dissolution, projection and dissolution, it is going on. Every day it is happening. Every day we go back to the sleep state, and from sleep state, again we come back into the manifested state. Every day we go back to the sleep state means we are going into the Mula Prakriti, Maya. From there again we are thrown out into this manifested state. Again from that manifested state, we are thrown back into the seed state, unmanifested state. This is going on. This is all within the realm of Maya. This is what is the movie which is going on. Now see, we are talking about the movie, not about the screen, okay? On the screen, this movie is going on. Movie of manifestation and non-manifestation. Manifestation and non-manifestation. Manifestation and non-manifestation. It is going on. Did we ever pay attention to this? This is the movie which is going on. So Sri Krishna is saying, Kalpa though, Kalpa. So we have discussed, if you remember, Kalpa is what? Kalpa is half a day of Brahma. I'm just touching upon that, just to brush up your memory. It's a vast spans of time, like 4.32 billion years. 4.32 billion human years go into the making of 12 hours of Brahma. Another 12 hours, 4.32 billion human years, means 8.64 billion human years is what goes into the making of 24 hours of Brahma, 1 day of Brahma. Like that, 365 days, which will be something like 3.11 trillion human years. Human years, which will be 1 year of Brahma. Like that, 100 years of Brahma, which will be something like 311 trillion human years, which will be one entire cycle of creation. Unfathomable, incomprehensible, vast spans of time. Now, one thing, what it hints at is, look at the knowledge of, even mathematical knowledge of our rishis. Even modern science would not dare to think about such vast numbers which our rishis used to play with. Vast spans of time and most infinitesimal, smallest unit of time. Both the things they had calculated. What today we are referring to as nanoseconds. This was there in our Vedic literature. Different terms like truti, you will find. If you just search it out, Google it out, you will find. This is exactly what today we are referring to as nanoseconds. The smallest micro nano unit of time and the most vast periods of time. These calculations were there in the Vedic times. Can you imagine? How much of our mathematics might have been advanced? Actually, mathematics went from here all over the world. Zero, all numerals, it all went from here only. Everybody knows it's a historically proved fact. Anyhow, so here, this kalpa, this is the so-called the cycle of creation and dissolution. Krishna is saying, you see, hey Arjun, listen to me, all the multitudes of beings, they are thrown out into the manifested state in the beginning of a cycle of creation, and in the end of a cycle of creation, everything is sucked back into the Mula Prakriti, Maya. So beautiful. Then he says, how does he do this? This movie, how is this movie being projected? Movie is the play of Maya. Whose Maya? It is Brahman's own Maya. The so-called this movie is screen's own creation. The screen, through its own power, is creating this mysterious movie, an experience of something which is not actually existing, and yet it is being experienced. Even when we are watching the movie, what is actually existing is the screen and screen alone. This is the point. There is no second thing actually existing apart from the screen. This subject is going to be very challenging to the human understanding because we have become so much habituated to take this for granted. Even in our spiritual practices, we take this for granted. We never question it. We don't even question our own existence. Who is this jiva? We take this jiva for granted that jiva is actually existing. If you begin to probe into the true nature of jiva, you will see that the jiva begins to dissolve and God emerges. I always say, if you probe into the human being is gone, God emerges. God emerges means what? The screen emerges. This is all the ingredients of movie. If you just probe into that movie which is going on in the cinema theater, the movie is gone. What emerges is the screen which is behind the movie, is it not? Similarly, if you probe into every human being, the human being is gone. What emerges is that screen, the Atman. That Atman is God. There is no other God. Let us remember this point very clearly. Presently, we are not ready to understand that Atman in that abstract form. That's why we need some human covering to it. All the human forms of God are only a matter of convenience for us to reach that real screen, which is the Atman. There is no other God apart from Atman and Brahman. This everybody should know. All the forms of God which we usually worship, they are all forms of the same screen, the Atman and Brahman. We are all worshipping Brahman and Brahman alone. Make this point very clear. Whether it is through the form of Ram, whether it is through the form of Krishna, Kali, Durga, anything. All these forms are nothing but Brahman, Atman alone, which is our true nature. Just like Sri Ram is the covering given to the Atman, this very human being is the covering given to the Atman. This very human being is a covering given to the Atman. Who are you? You are just a covering given to the Atman. This is what is the real religion, to understand our true nature. That is what Krishna is teaching to Arjuna. Arjuna, understand this point. This movie is a creation of Maya. Every day, multitudes of beings are being thrown out into the manifested state at the beginning of a creation, cycle of creation, and at the end of a cycle of creation, the whole thing is taken back into the seed state of Maya. This is going on. As long as we don't question, we are trapped inside the cycle of manifested state, unmanifested state, manifested state, and unmanifested state. It is going on. Questioning is required. We have to go to the root of the whole thing. Then, prakritim swam avashtabhya visrajami punah punah bhutagramamimam kritsnam avasham prakritir vashat. Now, how is this projection going on? Who is projecting? Krishna is saying, beautiful. Visrajami. It is I who am projecting this movie. Krishna means what? Again, we are habituated to think Krishna in that beautiful form, one who is holding a flute with a peacock feather on his head. That's okay. What actually Krishna stands, Krishna is Brahman, nothing else. There is no other Krishna apart from Brahman. Krishna is saying this Brahman is projecting this movie. Visrajami. This movie is projected by whom? By Brahman itself. How? Prakritim swam avashtabhya. Avashtabhya means after gaining full control over my own prakriti. My own prakriti means my own Maya. After having full control over the Maya, consciousness is the Lord of Maya. After having full control over the Maya, through my own Maya, Visrajami, I am projecting this. Punaha, punaha. Again and again. This is a very important point. Punaha, punaha. Punah means what it indicates is that this movie is beginningless and endless. Shankaracharya says. Punah means again and again. There is no beginning to this. No one can determine the beginning of this movie. Modern science want to understand who created, at what time, on what day, how many years back this creation started. No, you cannot determine it. You can break your head throughout eternity. No one will be able to pinpoint the beginning of this mysterious creation. It is beginningless. On which date did your dream world start? Can anyone determine it? The date and time? This is also another dream world which is going on. We don't understand this point. What we are experiencing now is also another dream which is going on. The day we understand the dream character of this, what we are experiencing, that day we shall be liberated. Liberation is not something to come at the point of death. It is all jnanam and jnanam alone. Not theoretical, but experiential. Jnanam te savijnanam. Experiential, not merely in conceptual. That won't work. But Krishna is saying, this creation and dissolution is going on beginninglessly and endlessly. Prakritim swam avashtabhya visrjami punah punah. I, the consciousness, the Brahman, is projecting this movie again and again, again and again. This manifestation and dissolution. Manifestation and dissolution. When did it first start? Nobody can. Because the person who is trying to determine its beginning itself is inside that movie. How can he determine the beginning of that movie? You and I, the scientist, the physical scientist, the physicist himself is one of the ingredients of that Maya Srishti. How can that person determine the beginning of this Maya? It is not possible. It is beginningless and endless. So you see, this Srishti is punah punah. Repeatedly it is happening, without beginning and without ending. Bhuta gramam imam Krishnam. And then second point, Krishna is saying, inside this movie, inside this Maya Srishti, everybody is avasham. Very important point. Avasham means helpless. You and I have no say in this matter. We are just like Kataputli, in Hindi there is a term called Katputli. We may think we are very smart, we know nothing. As long as we don't know what true nature as consciousness, we know nothing. You may be having, somebody may be holding big degrees, we know nothing, as long as we don't have the knowledge of consciousness. And inside this movie, everybody is avasham. Avasham means what? Helpless. We are just like puppets, being moved by a mover, a mysterious mover who is holding the strings. And we are just dancing. You think these hands are moving, somebody is talking, the sound is coming out. You think if I think that I am doing it, I'll be the biggest fool. There is some power which is making the director of this movie, who is moving everything here. That director is Maya, again, mysterious, which is so beautifully and graphically picturized by Bhagavan Shankaracharya in his works, most beautifully. This Maya is the one which binds. This Maya is the one which liberates. No question of how, no question of why. It goes beyond human logic, but it's a fact. So, avasham. Here everything inside this movie, every creature is helpless. You can't help it. Avasham prakriter vashat. Everybody is under the governance of this Shakti, Maya. Shakti. Here, Brahman and Brahman Shakti. Amazing thing. This entire play which we are experiencing here, it is all the play of Brahman and Brahman Shakti. It is a play of Shiva and Shakti. It is a play of Brahman and Kali, to put it in Sri Ramakrishna's language. Brahman and Kali, they are not two things again. The moment we think that they are two things, we are mistaken. Advaita is nowhere compromised. Because this Kali whom you are talking about, this Kali is nothing but Shiva. Shiva itself is Kali, Kali is Shiva. It is Shiva Kali, Kali Shiva. It is Brahman Shakti, Shakti Brahman. There is no two. It is screen movie, movie screen. There are no two things called screen and the movie. The term and is confusing. The movie is just a mysterious projection projected by the screen itself. But the movie is mithya, screen alone is satyam. Because the movie actually doesn't exist. What is existing is screen and screen alone. So here Krishna is saying, it is I means the consciousness, it is I project everything by gaining perfect control over my own Shakti. Through my own Shakti, my own Maya Shakti, I am projecting forth this movie. And all the so-called living beings inside this movie, they are all what? Helpless. Avasham, Prakritir Vashar. They are absolutely under the governance of this Maya Shakti. They have no choice. It makes us feel helpless. We are helpless, at the same time, we are not absolutely helpless. The way is out. Actually, when we are discussing this, already the way is being shown to come out of it. We are helpless, at the same time, we are not absolutely helpless. By the anugraha of this Maya Shakti, which works through Shastras, which works through Guru, you become illumined. That is what Krishna said in the beginning. I am going to tell you that highest jnanam. This is that highest jnanam. Krishna is showing us the way to this helpless creature called the Jiva, by which he can break away from this bondage. So though he is helpless in one sense, he is not absolutely helpless. If he follows the words of the scriptures and the great master, Guru, and the scripture, Shastra, he can come out of this bondage. Bhutagramam imam Krishnam avasham prakritir vashat. Your everything is under the governance of that Prakriti. Then, now Krishna had said in this verse that it is I who am projecting forth everything through my own Maya Shakti. In that case, I should be affected. When I do something, I cannot remain unaffected. If I am the real doer of something, then I have to be affected by my actions. Again, this is all very enigmatic statements. Is consciousness actually doing anything? That is the next verse. Beautiful. Krishna is saying that. Nachamam tani karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya udasina vadasinam asaktam teshu karmasu. Krishna is saying, again, Krishna means what? Brahman, the screen, consciousness. Krishna is saying that, Nachamam tani karmani nibadnanti, hey Dhananjaya, hey Arjun, Dhananjaya, I am not affected by all these things which is going on. In the earlier verse, I stated that it is I who am projecting forth all these things through my Maya. And I am actually unaffected by what is happening here. Why? The reason is Udasina Vadasinam, very important. I am just like one who is unconcerned. Udasinam. Udasinam is a beautiful word. Udasinam means someone who is absolutely unconcerned, who is just a witness, who is only a spectator. Udasina Vadasinam. I am seated. Means what Krishna wants to hint at is that our true nature is what? It is always the Sakshi. The screen is always the Sakshi. The movie may come and go. Is there anything happening to the screen? In the movie, there may be all kinds of things going on. Maybe there is action going on. Maybe there is tragedy going on. But is the screen weeping? If there is a fire in the movie, is the screen getting hot? If there is torrential rain in the movie, is the screen getting wet? Nothing is happening to the screen. This is your position. This is my position. This is everyone's position. This Sakshihood, this is the thing to be practiced in life. Not to be carried away by the events of life. Presently, our condition is what? We are fully drowned in the movie. Unquestioned sense of realism about the movie. We have never questioned it. We are thinking this movie is absolutely real. So when there is tragedy, we weep. When there is comedy, we laugh. When something else happens, we are affected emotionally. We are just tossed up and down by the waves of the different emotions which are the parts of this movie. It's going on. But our real position is what? Even when this is going on, actually speaking, never anything has happened to anyone here. This is the promising message coming from the Upanishads. This is religion. Nothing has ever happened to you or to me or to anyone. We are all absolutely unaffected. Nothing has affected our true nature. What a beautiful message it is. Shankaracharya in his Upanishad says, Avasthatraya Vetiriktatvam, Shuddhatvam, and Asangatvam. Beautiful. That is our true nature. We are always distinct from this movie. The screen is absolutely unattached to the movie. Two words used here. Udasina vadasinam, and then what? Asaktam teshu karmashu. I am not sticking to anything here. Beautiful. Asaktam, anasakti. Now, a very important conclusion has to be drawn from this discussion here. Shankaracharya says, I'm just reading out Shankaracharya's commentary here. Brilliant. If this is the case with consciousness, Brahman, Brahman is what? It is the Sakshi. It is the witness. It is just watching everything without being affected. And it is absolutely unattached to anything. Brahman is not sticking to anything because there is no second thing to which it can stick. Where is the second thing to which it can stick? The second thing called movie which we are talking about, it is a mysterious thing. As I said, it is an experience of something which is not actually existing, yet it is being experienced. So Brahman can never be affected by anything because there is nothing existing apart from Brahman. There is nothing existing apart from your own true self, which is the Atman. So, witnesshood and non-attachment is the characteristic of Brahman. Witnesshood and non-attachment is the very characteristic of Brahman. And that being the case, Shankaracharya says in this commentary, even in the case of any other person, means you and me, like Brahman, even in the case of any other person, any other jiva, you, me, any one of us, the absence of the idea of agentship and the absence of attachment to results are the causes of not getting bound. Very important statement. How is that we get bound in this movie? Two things. Shankaracharya says. Now see, we are talking about khandana bhava bandhana. How can we break away from this evil called bondage? First, let's try to understand, how do we get bound? We become bound owing to two things. Our sense of agentship. Agentship means what? Aham karta. I am the doer, I am the enjoyer. This karta bhokta bhava. I think, but the very term, ego is what English term ego doesn't, these are all Sanskrit term. Ahamkara. Ahamkara means what? Aham karta. I am the doer. I did this, I did that. I constructed this building. I constructed this new building. I did that, I did this. Everybody is talking about I. We are bound by this aham karta, ahamkara. In your true sense, you are the Atman. You never did anything. So who was doing all these things? It's all play of Maya which is going on. In Bengali, there is that famous song is there about Divine Mother Maya. कि तुम्ही करो तुम्हार काज लोके बोले करी आमी सकले तुम्हारी इच्छा इच्छामयी तारा तुम्ही. No, Bengali song, beautiful song. Bengali, that song is there. সকলে তোমারই ইচ্ছা, ইচ্ছাময়ী তারা তুমি, তুমি করো তোমার কর্ম, or loke bole kore ami. It is she, Mahamaya is doing everything, but we say that I did this, I did that. Who am I? Can you even lift one finger? You cannot lift even a single finger. Your everything is moved by that Maya Shakti. Who are we? We don't even exist. We don't even exist. This point is the beginning of true religion. As long as you think that I am existing and I am doing, the true religion has not even started. When we begin to really feel in our bones that we don't even exist, what is existing is Brahman and Brahman Shakti. Saguna Brahman alone is existing. Then the true religion starts. How beautiful it is. So Shankaracharya is pointing out at this point, as long as you have a sense of doership, Ami Korechi, I am the doer, you are bound. Second thing, attachment. These are the two things which bind us to this plane of Mahamaya, and we go round and round and round and round endlessly. We suffer and suffer and suffer. Inside this, you may pray, you may do this, you may do that. There is no escape from suffering, how much ever you may try to pray and do things. Knowledge. Knowledge that I am not the doer and I am eternally unattached. Asango hi ayam purushaha. Attachment is the bondage. That's why I always say in my talks, always remember, the ultimate conclusion of all the Vedantic discussion will be this much. In Hindi there is a term, chipakna mana hai. Chipakna sakt mana hai. Sirf mana nahi, sakt mana hai. Sticking is prohibited. Not only prohibited, it is strictly prohibited. If you stick to this, you're gone. If you stick to the movie, you're gone. See, we are talking about khandana bhavabandhana. Remember this point. If we are really serious about breaking away from this bondage, the way is first to surrender your sense of doership and not to be attached to anything. Let things come and go. This is all just a movie going on. Do not take it too seriously. Amar chele, amar me, amar ei, amar she is going on. My son, my daughter, my husband, my wife, this clinging, 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 sticking, sticking, sticking. We have become experts in sticking. The more you stick, the more you're going to be pasted. The more you develop the quality of being non-stuck. You're liberated. This very moment you're liberated. A person who is absolutely asangam, he is liberated this very moment. Liberation is not going to come at the time of death. It is right now. It is the question of developing the right conviction and the right vision and living that kind of a life. Is Vedanta theory? It's a living life. It's a living philosophy. It's a life elevating philosophy. Not philosophy, it is a reality. The philosophy word is also wrong. It is darshanam. It is the right vision and a life lived with the right vision. It can liberate you right now, this very moment. No God is going to come at the time of death. You can hold on to that position, that's fine. But the real Vedanta stresses this, freedom when we are alive. So that is what is being hinted in this verse so beautifully. Krishna is saying that, see, I am unaffected by my own so-called projection through Maya. Why? I am absolutely udasinam. I am unconcerned. I am just the witness. And I am absolutely unattached to anything. Because where is the second thing with which I can be attached? The second thing which we are talking about, it is only Maya. It is not actually existing. It is just an appearance. That's why I am always unaffected. That's why you are unaffected, you are unaffected, you are unaffected. Everyone is in its true nature absolutely unaffected. Shankaracharya keeps on hammering this idea, Nitya Shuddha, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Mukta Swabhavaha. Eternally free, eternally, not just for a few moments, eternally we were never bound. This is the clarion call of the rishis. So beautiful. Then, last verse it says here. Now in the previous verse, Krishna said that All this movie is being projected by me, and at the same time he said, I am just the witness. Again, conflicting statements. This is all a paradox, it's all a divine paradox. In one verse he said that Prakritim swam avashtabhya visrujami punah punah aham visrujami. I am projecting forth all these things repeatedly by subjugating my own Maya Shakti. And in the next verse he is saying, I am not doing anything. There is no doership in me. Now, the answer to that is the next verse. Beautiful verse. Krishna is saying here. Maya Adhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. So beautiful. Krishna is saying, you see, yes, it is true, I am not doing anything. I am just an Adhyaksha. Adhyaksha term is very beautiful. In our Ramakrishna Matan mission also, all the heads of the centers are called Adhyaksha. It's very profound philosophy. You know Adhyaksha of Advaita Ashram or Adhyaksha of any other mat. Adhyaksha means what? One who is only a witness. He doesn't do anything. Adhyaksha doesn't do anything. He is only a witness. In his presence, all others are doing. That is what exactly is the position here. I am just an Adhyaksha, Krishna is saying. So beautiful. These terms are so profound and philosophical. Krishna is saying, Maya Adhyakshena, in my supervision, in my presence, my job is to be only to be present, that's all. Adhyaksha is only present, he sits up, he doesn't do anything. All others are doing everything. The whole center is being run by everybody else. Adhyaksha just sits quietly. That is the position. So beautiful it is. Krishna is saying, Maya Adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. So beautiful. In my presence, the Maya is creating all this panorama of this movie. Shakti is playing. In the presence of Shiva, Kali is dancing. Kali cannot exist without Shiva. The Kali's dance which is going on, Bhavatarani Kali's image you have seen. That naked lady is standing on the chest of Shiva. Shiva is just Adhyaksha. Shiva is not doing anything. Shiva is immobile. All the dances of the dance of the Kali. In the presence of Shiva, Kali is creating this movie, mysterious movie, which is an appearance of something which is not actually existing. Mahadbhutam manirvachaniyam, Shankaracharya says. What an amazing thing. Absolutely matchless teachings of Shankaracharya. This cannot be any comparison with it. So beautiful. Sri Ramakrishna says, this Kali and Shiva, Kali and Brahman's relationship, they are not two. Brahman itself is Kali, Kali is Brahman. Brahman and Shakti, so beautiful. And so here Krishna is saying, Maya Adhyakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. This sachara, achara, this entire jagat, moving and non-moving, everything is being created by this Maya Shakti. Shakti, a beautiful term comes there, Shakti, Maya. In the presence of Brahman, in the presence of Shiva. I am just the witness, Adhyaksha. Beautiful term. Hetuna anena kaunteya jagat viparivartate. And owing to this is how this entire... Now see, what we were discussing right from the verse number 4, it is a relationship between Brahman and Jagat. It is a relationship, mystery of Brahman and Jagat, the mystery of Atma and Anatma, the mystery between the screen and the movie. That is what is the discussion from verse number 4 to 10. And the conclusion is that it is Brahman alone is actually existing. The second entity is Maya Srishti. Is it not? That is what he said in the 4th verse. You see, this screen is pervading everything. Everything is appearing to exist on the screen, and at the same time, nothing is existing on the screen. Because this movie which we are talking about It is Maya Srishti. So what is ultimately existing is Brahman and Brahman alone. In all these verses from verse number 4 to 10, now this is the highest knowledge which Krishna proposed to keep before all of us in the beginning of this chapter. He said, idam tute guhyatamam pravakshyami anasuyave. Idam means what? Brahma Jnanam, Brahma Vidya. Shankaracharya says, I am going to place before you, Arjuna, the highest knowledge, the Raja Vidya and Raja Guhyam, the greatest. See, from verse 4 to 10, it is the highest. There is nothing beyond to be talked about. The highest reality is this, the relationship between Brahman and this Jagat. Are they two things? No. Brahman alone is existing. It is the relationship between the screen and the movie. Are they two things? See, we are talking about relationship. Relationship connotes two. It is a strange kind of a relationship where there are no two things. One thing alone is actually existing. The other thing is Maya Srishti. That is what Krishna was beautifully telling us till now. So, this is the discussion. What Krishna had proposed in the beginning of this chapter, that I am going to place before you the highest knowledge, the greatest secret, knowing which you will be freed from this evil of bondage. That Krishna has kept before us. Now the next class comes another beautiful theme. This very Brahman, through its Maya, is creating everything. So-called creation. This is Maya Srishti. In that Maya Srishti, a special manifestation appears. That special manifestation is known as Avatar. That special manifestation is known as Avatar. That is going to be the discussion in the next verse, the next beautiful verse. Now the Avatar comes here. Brahman, through its own Shakti and Maya, is creating this movie. That is the general so-called manifestation. Brahman's general manifestation through its Shakti and Maya, but Brahman's special manifestation, which is known as Avatar. It is through this Avatar that this knowledge we are getting it. We are getting all the knowledge, the supreme wisdom through whom? It is coming through all these great personalities. That is what is going to be the topic of discussion in the next class. We will take it up soon. Let's stop it. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat.